Do you make indie comics? If so, you're going to want to stick around because I'm about to go in depth on how you can get your indie comics into comic shops. So for a little bit more context, I was recently at a convention here in Columbus, Ohio called Cartoon Crossroads Columbus. It was a free independent comic book convention downtown, and it was really completely focused on indie comic creators. Now I'm talking panels, exhibitor tables, big talk and teach like lectures. It was fascinating stuff. But I'm not here to talk about the entire convention because that would take forever. It was a 4-day convention and there was a lot going on. But I wanted to focus on one panel in particular that I was able to attend and record because it gave some super valuable knowledge for anybody trying to get their independent comic books into comic shops. So without wasting any more of your time, I'm going to get right into the first thing they said, and that was know your audience and your comic book shop. Take a look at this clip real quick.
Know your audience is literally what it's right. I'm with you. Which is right, like first thing here.
I'm good at my job.
If you've got horror, western, whatever, it doesn't matter the genre, but there's still more of a mainstream slant when it comes to the shop. Not to say that I am not going to accept or take in any of that. But when people walk in, that's what they're going to see. You got your CGC books, and you got your wall books, and thousands of back issues.
We're, I think, a reader store. Mm-hmm. I don't care who puts the story out. I don't care if it's black and white. I don't care at all. If it's a good story, then we want to stock it. We've got Euro sections. We've got horror. We've got political sections. We have a rack where all the last 2 or 3 months worth of stuff is, and that draws people in. And they walk that rack, and when they end, the first thing you see to the right then is the local section. The draw of the store when you got the people come in, it comes right to it.
So let me break that down just a little bit. You have to know what kind of shop you're walking into when you go to try and sell your book to them. The first shop owner was talking about how his shop is definitely more focused on like the mainstream side. So graded comics, Marvel, DC, the newest of the new, and the most popular stuff. Whereas the other shop owner that was talking actually caters to the independent community more because of the area that he's in. He's downtown near campus, so his clientele has a little bit more expendable income, and they're more of the artistic crowds, so they actually want to find those local hidden indie comics. So that's the first part of what they were saying. Know what kind of shop you're walking into, because if it's not a really indie heavy store, your book may not do well there. And that kind of ties into the other thing they were talking about, which is know the audience of the shop. If it's a superhero focused comic book store, but you have a story that is like a true crime drama, then it's probably not gonna get a whole lot of sales at that shop because that's not what that audience is looking for. So that's just something to keep in mind. Know what kind of shop you're walking into and know what kind of customers they have coming in and out. And speaking of customers, that ties into the next tip, which is price point.
You can have the most amazing, I've looked at some stuff that's fantastic. And I had a guy come in, and it was a single issue, and it was about 24 pages. But his price point literally was $15.
Yeah.
And it had a nice cardstock cover, but standard gloss paper. And he was like, well, it cost me $9 something to print it.
Yeah.
And I said, dude, as amazing as this is, when somebody walks into any of our stores, their money's almost already spent. They're either getting their pull or they saw on the feeds or whatever. Like he was talking with price point, to $10 it might be a tough sell, but if the product is
good,
and with us right now we're putting stuff with the mainstream stuff. My comic, this is my goofy comic that I do about myself and a punk rock kangaroo fighting space aliens. This sits on a shelf next to the other comics, but it looks like a comic. The price point between $5 to $10, like you said, the presentation has to look professional.
This is something a lot of people don't take into account. Most people, myself included, when I walk into a comic book shop, most of my money is pre-spent. And when I do have a little bit of extra to buy something at the comic shop, it's gotta be something I'm willing to spend that little bit of extra money on. If it's an indie book that I've never heard of and you're charging $20, $25 for it, I'm probably not gonna get it because it's a lot of money to spend on something I've never heard of. But on the flip side of that, if your book is somewhere in the $5 to $10 range, like they were talking about, seems to be a sweet spot for indie comics, then the more expensive you make it, the higher quality of a product people are going to expect. So if your book is on the shelf for $5.99 and it looks very well done. It's professional, and the coloring's done well. The paper quality is good, and it's just a well put together project, then it's probably going to catch my eye, including other indie comics fans' eyes, and probably make a sale. Whereas a $10 book, I'll just tell you now, your book has got to look really professional and very well put together if I'm going to be spending $10 on something I've never heard of without even a recommendation from anybody. So just keep in mind, if you're trying to charge a premium price, people are going to expect a premium product. And price brings us right into the next tip, which is put a price on your book.
I have to say, and this will be my blanket over this entire conversation. With us, if your book doesn't have a price tag printed on it, we won't carry it.
Did you hear that? I'm going to play that one more time.
If your book doesn't have a price tag printed on it, we won't carry it. Back in the day, Freak Brothers printed and reprinted their books. Now, printing back then versus now is a lot different. So eventually, even though it said 50 cents, they would put a sticker. You can go that route. As long as there's something that I can viably have on there. Because I've had people come in and there's just nothing on it. And when you've got a rack of shelves and trying to keep track of, it's just a $3.99, did we, you know, having to, it's just not it.
On our invoice that you have to fill out to sell books to us, it says must have a cover price. Because I've got 100 different books back there that someone brings to the counter and I've got to try to figure out what it is. I want to throw it away.
Putting a price on your book, if nothing else, just makes the comic shop employees' jobs easier. Say it's New Comic Book Day and there's 15 to 20 people in line at the comic book shop. That shop employee is sitting there scanning books as fast as they can, trying to make sure everybody is getting a quick customer experience. And if somebody slaps your book on the counter and there's no pricing anywhere on it, that means they have to stop what they're doing, go to a list, look up the price that they want to charge for it, and a lot of them just don't have that kind of time. You're screwing up their customer service as well as making other people wait longer in line at a comic book shop, which can already take a decent amount of time as it is. And if you don't want some shop employee putting an ugly price tag sticker on your book, then you better put at least a little price up in the corner somewhere that says $4.99, $5.99, whatever you're charging for your book. Now, on the topic of covers, that's the next thing, is avoid overly explicit covers.
If your cover has expletives on it.
Well, that's what he just said, non-explicit, and we all should have probably said that.
Yeah, if it has...
Bring PG books in.
Yeah.
Like,
you know,
maybe PG-13.
We carry adult books, but we do not carry anything that, you know, you're talking your NC-17 or higher.
You need a black bag.
And, you know,
No
it's
black
got to be in a
bag
black
books.
bag, you know. And if it has, you know, F-bombs and stuff all over the interior, dialogue happens.
Let us know though.
Let us know.
Yeah,
but if it's on the cover, like I Hate Fairyland, the variant cover.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
We do not carry that. We get it for our pool customers, but we do not carry that.
What if you bring it shrink wrapped?
Then again, then you can't look at it.
Yeah. We're gonna want to see your book.
Yeah.
So like they're saying, there's a lot of shops that just don't carry the more NC-17 or the adult-oriented books. And when I say adult, I mean the explicit books. Also, if you've got a bunch of curse words all over the cover of the book or a whole bunch of blood and gore or nudity, they just can't put that stuff on the shelf because, I mean, kids go into these stores. So keep it in mind that even if you're not targeting a younger audience with your book, younger audiences are going to see that cover on the shelf. Interior, you have a lot more leeway, but if it's an adult-oriented book and there's a lot of cursing and blood and nudity inside the book, then you need to tell the comic shop owner, because that way they can warn parents who may accidentally buy it for their kids. Now, the next tip is take shop displays into account.
Remember that most places are not going to display it full face. So that means you've got to sell it not just with the cover, but the top half of the cover. Yeah. So if you've got all the cool stuff at the bottom, there's a decent chance no one's ever going to see it. You know, if you're selling it in the Ogre, most of it's going to be waterfall racks. So you gotta sell with that top half, top third.
Same thing for us. We waterfall more than likely. So
Yeah.
that top third.
So, but believe me, learn that lesson now, because a lot of the regular publishers have not learned the lesson. On the local section, it's not as important, but you're going to, if you put it out as comic book size, you're gonna sell more.
Now, if you're unsure of some of the things he was talking about, let me break that down. A waterfall rack is this. Now, as you can see from this, the books on the front of the shelf, they get seen just fine, but the ones behind those, and if there's even more behind those, you're only gonna see maybe the top half or even the top third of the book on the shelf. And a lot of comic book shops use those waterfall racks because they're cheap, they're easy to set up, and they don't take up a whole lot of room. So in order for your book to stand out on those kinds of racks, you're gonna have to make sure that the top half or the top third of your comic cover actually has something interesting and eye-catching so that people are drawn to it and actually want to grab it from the back of that shelf and see what it is. Also, if you keep things to a standard comic book size, it'll make everybody's life easier in the shop as well as customers, because most comic book readers want to put their books in a bag and board, even if they're not trying to like preserve it for its value. It's just an easier way to store them and make sure they don't get ruined. So make sure that your comic can actually fit in people's bags and boards. A lot of people are using just the basic current size bags and boards right now. And aside from the customers, it makes it easier on the shop owners because it's easier for them to place it on the rack if it's the same size as everything else up there. Now, the next thing to keep in mind is genre doesn't matter, but keep it original as possible.
There's a Japanese artist where that's what he does, is he does mangas that are historical mangas. Like he did a history of Japan. He just did one on Hitler. Like that's what he does. So there's a market for it. It might not be the biggest market, but it's there.
Something like that, I would be enthusiastic about,
Yeah.
because we don't have much of it. If you're telling me, hey, I want to do a superhero book about, these five kids that get, powers and they're ostracized by everybody, I'm like, oh, I've seen it, But if you tell me you're doing a history comic, especially say you're doing like the history of Ohio or something, I'm like, everybody's going to want to be interested in that.
Like they're saying, they see superhero stuff all the time. Marvel and DC have been around to close for 100 years at this point. And as great as your indie comic book superhero might be, they've seen superheroes a million times. It's hard for them to sell a new superhero to customers. Now, of course, there's exceptions to this, especially with local stuff. If the local artist or the writer has a good following in that area, it doesn't matter what they put out, they're gonna get bought. But if you're not one of those people, then you have a much better chance if you come into the shop and present them with something they've never seen before. And if it's an indie focused shop, 9 times out of 10, they've got a actual local section in there. So if you're a local artist, check your local shops because they really like local stories. So like in the clip, for example, they were talking about if you come into their shop with a story about Ohio history, that's something that they're going to be interested in because they're all from Ohio. So say you walk into a comic book shop in Nashville and you have a comic book based off the history of the founding of the city, they're probably going to be interested in that. So with that one, keep it original, no superheroes if you can avoid it, and local stuff is even better. The next thing is something people don't really like to talk about, and this is the money side of things again. Know your profit margins.
We're buying at 50% of cover price.
Right.
That's what we buy at. So you want to make sure that you're making money at 50% of cover price.
So make sure that you know that.
Right.
Before you go.
Because again, when you are creating a book, the price point that you want to sell it at is not the price that you can sell to them. Because otherwise they don't make any money, so there is no real impetus for them to put it on their shelves. They have a business to run.
90 to 99% of comic book shops, when they're buying indie books, they're buying them at half the cover price. Heck, a lot of shops are buying books at either half or 3/4 of market price anyway from the distributors. That's how these shops make their profit. They cannot buy from you at retail price and sell it at retail price and stay in business. So make sure that when you're pricing your book, that you're pricing it knowing that you are going to sell it to the shop for half of what your cover price is, which means you need to be able to make a profit off half the cover price of your book. Number 8 is a no-brainer, but I'll play a little small clip of it anyway.
What is the one day no one should call your shop?
Wednesday.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But if I had to pick one specific day, I'm going to say Wednesday. If you're going to try to sell
not
something
call
on
up when you
Wednesday,
come here.
that's almost a definite no.
Do not cold call or cold visit a comic book shop on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Tuesdays are traditionally the days that DC's new comic book day comic books come out. Did that make sense? new comic book day, comic books come out. Yeah, and then Wednesdays are just new comic book days. So that's Marvel, Boom, Image, all the other big publishers, everything comes out on Wednesday. So if you're going to a comic book shop to try and sell your comic book to a shop and you come in on the busiest day of the week, they're probably going to close the door in your face and tell you to leave. These last two tips are probably the most important of this entire video. And the first of those two is self-promotion is key.
You want people to know that you have more work. You want people to know that you're working on more stuff. If someone picks up the one shot, we were talking about the one shot earlier, they pick up that one shot and they're like, this is an awesome story. Does this guy have any more stuff? If you got a QR code that sends them to your socials, or if you've got, the coming soon or other stuff you're working on, that works out great, how to contact you. On the flip side, I'm pretty sure most of the people that are writers who have some kind of social dedicated to your craft, get on there and let people know where to get your book at. I can't speak for everybody, but some of us, we're mail stuff. I had a kid that worked for me with the CCAD. He put out a self-published book. He's not from Columbus, but he had people from his hometown call and saying, hey, do you have his book? Can you mail me 5 copies of his book? So let people know where to get your book. Like we're giving the real estate, but at the same time, like you gotta help too.
Right. Tell people your book is in shops. Post about it on social media, and that means Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Anywhere you can post about it, post about it. If you already have friends that follow you on social media and they support what you're doing, they're probably going to go to the shops and look for your stuff. So tell them where they can find it, because if nobody knows it's there, nobody's gonna buy it. And the last thing is really, honestly, in my opinion, the most important.
Yeah.
We sell passion. You ask me, I get this all the time. My little girl likes this or likes that. I say, listen, let me show you Princeless. And I can sell this book because I love it. It's like this little girl, she's a princess. She gets put in the castle and her dad says, you're gonna stay there till a prince rescues her. And he pays a dragon to guard her. Well, the little girl's like, I'm not waiting around for some dumb boy to rescue me. So she teams up with her dragon to have adventures. I'm passionate about it because when my little girl was that age, she would have loved this book. So what I'm selling is the passion I have for the book. So you are doing the same thing because you're selling the passion for what you put on the page. And if we're both passionate about it, that is a winning combination.
Did you hear what he said? He said, we sell passion. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, it's gonna show. So if you come into the shop and you're, oh, hi, here, this is my comic. I don't know if it's very good, but I'd like you to take a look at it. That doesn't sound very confident in your own product. Whereas if you come into the shop and say something like, hey, I've got this brand new story. It's totally original. There's something in it for everybody. It's got drama. It's got action. It doesn't really matter what it is. If it's original and you're passionate about it, you're gonna get other people excited about it. You are your own marketing company, especially if you're completely creating these books on your own, or if you've just got like another person helping you. You guys don't have big distribution companies. You guys don't have these multi-billion-dollar corporations marketing your books to people. So you have to do the legwork yourself. And if while you're doing that, you look burnout or tired, or if you just don't seem that enthusiastic about your own project, how do you expect anybody else to be? So I hope this video at least gave you guys some pointers and maybe some ways to try and give yourself a better chance of getting your indie comics into comic book shops. And if you think you got some valuable information out of this video, hit the like button. Till next time, guys, everybody, please be safe, be kind, and take it easy.